Thank you, Christina. Hi, everybody. I'm Brock. Welcome to the webinar today. Our topics for the webinar are search and intent and driving sales. I will start off with some high-level basics, and as we proceed, I'll dive into some tactics and action items. So everybody ready? Okay. So we use the word high intent in the title. I want to start this discussion there and focus on something called intent marketing. Intent marketing is all about understanding what the user wants, when they want it, and addressing that want in the moment of need. Okay, so it starts with a specific buying signal. Where is my animation? Okay, it starts with a specific buying signal. Okay, a great example is when a user runs a web search for a product or service. It's a data-driven process, which means you can target effectively, you can build campaigns, you can execute them, and you can measure results. Thirdly, it's more effective than relying on behaviors, lookalikes, and other types of social or demographic marketing. Fourthly, it's response-driven. That means it addresses a customer's need exactly when it's expressed. So if we think about the buying process, where is intent marketing effective in the buyer's journey? Okay, so let's think back for a moment to Marketing 101. Most of the models will tell you that the journey starts with recognizing a need. The second stage, learn, is all about accessing information. What's happening in the learn stage is it's a buildup of content or data. And in the third stage, decision, which is in red there, that's in some ways, it's the opposite of stage 2. There's a reductionist process that goes on. All of that content is explicated down to a decision point, and finally, you purchase. So in terms of marketing, social, native, and other types of marketing, they play a huge role up at the top of the funnel in stage 1. Intent marketing, and specifically intent marketing through search, play a bigger role in stage 2, especially in stage 3, which is much closer to the crucial point of purchase. Now, being lower down in this funnel is a good thing. It gives you the ability to predict the conversion rate to sales far more accurately than higher up in the funnel. So let's take a minute to just clarify the characteristics of some of the different marketing channels. Okay, first type, these are your big 4, by the way. You know, your native is your taboola. It's great for generating awareness, great for boosting clicks, not very strong for driving sales. Your second is your Facebook, your lookalikes, the idea that you'll buy a product because other 35-year-old females in Tennessee did. Well, the evidence suggests you'll get a lot of interest in those types of ads through social marketing, but ultimately what's going on there is you're chasing the customers. They're not coming to you. Let's move on to the direct approach. This is email. You've got someone who has expressed interest, so you reach out to them. We're getting better. This is good. There's interest there, there's intent, but you may not be hitting them at their moment of need. Now, finally, you have your search, your Google, your Bing. These are the channels for high intent sales. Users are generating a specific action. They're searching and you're answering them in real time. So we're going to focus there. I want to just go back to the social channel for a second because, you know, it's so fascinating and so intuitively reasonable. The problem with the social channel is that demographics don't necessarily give you a complete enough picture of the target audience. They don't help you understand what you really need to know, which is what consumers are looking for in an exact moment or where they're looking to find it. That's what you get from search. Let's just take it from Google. Marketers who rely on demographics to reach consumers risk missing more than 70% of mobile shoppers. That's smart. What's being said here is that intent trumps identity. Now, granted, this may be a little self-serving. There might be a little bit of an agenda here, but I buy the thesis. And here are a few interesting points to illustrate why. Number one, 40% of all baby product purchasers live in households without children. Interesting. If no one is pregnant in the house, if there's no children in the house, how are you going to find these customers? Next, 45% of home improvement searchers on mobile are women. Very nice. I think this stat makes a great statement. Marketers that are relying on traditional demographics. Next, interesting, 68% of skin and body care influencers in the past 6 months were men. Another reversal in traditional roles, and this is one that could crush a company that's marketing based on traditional gender behavior. So we're clear that intent is powerful and search is high intent. So what about the downside? What are the challenges of working with search? Well, we see 3 main issues. Number one is you need to be relevant. If your ads and your content aren't deemed relevant, then Google will punish you in the search algorithm. They'll give you a low quality score. If you get a low quality score, you're in trouble. You'll have a difficult time appearing in search results. Number two, it's increasingly pay to play. SEO used to be enough as a strategy, but I'll show you in just a minute how paid search is increasingly capturing prime real estate in search results. And thirdly, unfortunately, search is shifting away from brands. The data is clear. Brand searches are in decline. More and more searchers are using unbranded and descriptive terms in their queries. So let's go break these down one by one. Number one, relevancy. Google has a metric called a quality score. They calculate this quality score on a scale of 1 to 10 for each keyword based on number on the landing page, the term in the ad, a couple of other factors. Use this quality score and the bid an ad rank for every key. The position that your term will appear in search results is determined by this ad rank. So it all hinges on relevancy. Relevancy, or what's deemed relevant by Google's algorithms, is extremely important. Number two is, paid search positions are very, very significant on the screen. The top 3 spots for a commercial query take up 41% of the clicks. If you look at this particular problem, this particular page, it's particularly egregious because the organic results don't even show up. They're below the fold. So you've only got paid results here. And again, about half the users are only in the first 3 positions. Now, that's only one part of the problem. In addition, you've got paid search becoming much more expensive. What's going on in this graph, I'll break it down. The red line represents the average position in search results for the most common search terms in web hosting over the past 2 years. This is just an example in one specific industry. And the blue line represents the cost of these words. So you can see over the past 2 years, the cost to maintain the same position in search results has actually doubled. That's pretty serious inflation. Now, to make matters worse, the search volumes are in decline for branded terms. Now, here's another example from the mortgage industry. The volume of branded searches has been going down each year since 2010, and the unbranded terms are increasing in volume. So, you just take this in, we've got, a dual problem. And what is the conclusion? Increasing cost, decreasing volume in branded terms. Do we just go all in on unbranded terms if that's where the puck is going? The answer, surprisingly, is no, for two reasons. The first reason is you need to be the best in all searches related to your brand. That's something you need to own in search results. And the second reason has to do with cost. The price of unbranded terms like best mortgage instead of Chase mortgage, for example, is 7 times higher. That's quite expensive. So what is a good strategy for winning with search? Now, let's blue sky this for a second. We're gonna drill down. For those who think visually, envision a grid for a moment, where on the x-axis you have the purchaser's level intent of intent, and on the y-axis you have the purchaser's level of brand consideration. Okay, here I've created it so you don't have to visualize it anymore. If we use this grid as the realm of customer mindsets, we can envision a couple of different scenarios, with each one of them requiring a different strategy or approach in working with paid search. Okay, so again, on this graph, you've got the bottom left being low purchase intent, low brand consideration. The upper right being high intent, high brand consideration. Okay, so scenario number one. This is the ideal scenario. Anything in the top two quadrants. This is the easiest situation for you as a solution provider. The search terms are branded, okay? And your job is to bid on your brand, put relevant content on your site, and capture whatever sales volume that generates. This, I think, is intuitive to most people, very straightforward. The second scenario is your lower left, low purchase intent, low brand consideration. Users are interested. They want to learn. They are digging down in the web for content. What you need to do in this situation is build up a position in organic rankings, okay? So winning through SEO, through thought leadership, and PR that isn't necessarily on your website. The final scenario on the spectrum of options here is you have a high intent purchaser that is not brand loyal. What's going on here is he or she wants what they want as cheap, fast, and as easy as possible. So specifically, what are these types of buyers looking for? The search terms are superlative and adjective heavy. Top mortgages, best home security system. How do you capture these customers? You can invest in these types of words, but it's a really expensive game. For these customers, you also need to be an active participant across the spectrum of what we call review media. Unbiased rankings, comparison charts, review sites, surveys, polls, etc. I recently read an interesting book called The Paradox of Choice by a guy named Barry Schwartz. I thought it was fascinating. There was a counterintuitive idea in there that people are overwhelmed with data and make better decisions with fewer options. So Google has apparently listened and turned this idea into a product called featured snippets, which is kind of a short list of the best. It appears in the search results quite often. It's neat, it's helpful, users like it. Ironically though, it moves organic results lower down on the page. So, as search has evolved, the focus on unbranded terms has become a business unto itself. And a main component of this business is huge investments in unbranded keywords. So to sum up where we are right now, we want to invest, number one, in high intent marketing channels like paid search. Number two, we need to be cognizant of the changing patterns in search. And thirdly, we want to have a comprehensive strategy, a multi-tiered strategy for winning buyers across the spectrum, particularly your high intent buyers. Those are the main points for today. I will just tell you quickly about us. Natural Intelligence is a global leader in intent marketing. We operate short lists and comparison sites, and we drive high value customers to leading brands. We have a ridiculously large advertising budget that drives 10 million paid visitors to our platform each month, and that generates over 100,000 sales. I'll give you here a list of lists. We're operating in about 36 industries, and we're growing all the time. So if you're in the financial, consumer, or business realm, we probably have a list about your industry. That's the main point for today. I want to thank Charlene at Insight for the opportunity to talk to you today, and I want to thank Christina for facilitating. Over here, I want to thank Aviv Kanani for his work in organizing the ideas we talked about. If your business is in one of the verticals we're active in, reach out to discuss a special promotion that we've set up for Insight's portfolio customers. My contact details are here, and you'll get a copy of the presentation. Thank you all.
Thank you, Brock. Definitely want to encourage everyone to enter questions now in the question side panel. We do have one already. So Brock, we haven't started paid search yet. How would you recommend that we start?
Okay, I would say, you want to dip into paid search slowly and carefully. You want to start on the probably what's least competitive, which would be branded search. Start investing in your brand, running campaigns around your brand. As you develop, you can develop then organically and start to put some of those words and start to then bid on some of those organic words. And thirdly, you can use some of that paid search budget to actually work with partners and invest in key terms in a number of third-party sites that are ranking high in search results.
Wonderful. And another question, what kind of search volumes are ideal to bid on?
The search volumes, that is going to range really depending on, let's say, if you're in a very competitive space, mortgage, for example, that's an extremely competitive space where you're going to have very high volume. And on the other hand, you may have a startup that's in a rather obscure area of AI, for example, and you're going to have lower search volumes, relatively speaking. Those aren't very popular or competitive terms. So the answer is it's going to depend. It's going to depend on the industry that you're in.
Great, thank you. And from Carrie, is it better to split search budgets between Google and Bing?
I'll tell you, we've got a fairly large budget, and we're active in a number of different channels, Google, Bing, across the board. For us, I can tell you that the lion's share of the results that we've gotten has been through Google. There are some specific areas where Bing is effective, but most of the time, we just seem to get better results with Google, and that's where we play.
Great. And from Boris, what are some examples of excellent gated content to promote with paid search?
Okay, so for example, we are running a campaign right now in mortgage where we've prepared an ebook, and similarly, it's how to win. What is the name of the campaign?
Online mortgage trends.
Online mortgage trends. So we're bidding on keywords for this ad. We're creating ads for all about online mortgage trends for users to come and download an ebook. In the ebook, we talk all about the mortgage trends, and that's an example. That's a common campaign idea that we do. We do things like that in mortgage, insurance, across business services. We talk a lot about intent marketing in our white papers. Are there other questions?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. What is the latest trend that you've been seeing in paid search?
So I think one of the most significant things that we've seen is that this, is the fact that users are, they've gone from being very brand loyal and very, with exceptions, let's say if you're Apple or you're Amazon and the world is fascinated with your brand, then your brand is extremely hyped, and that's a popular search term. But in, let's say, more established industries, the value of these brands, or the relative volume of searches in these for brands, has actually diminished significantly. And users now are being more descriptive generally about speed and quality and quantity type terms in their searches, and using brand related terms much less. So it's much more unbranded and much less branded.
Great. I think those were the main questions. Spoke too soon. How can businesses benefit from paid search when target audience is not tech savvy?
So I think if I understand, I think what we're referring to in that case is like a consumer audience that's not tech savvy. I think everyone, you don't have to be tech savvy to be using the web. Everybody Googles on their mobile phone. So I think having some very basic advertising, even if it's for a general non-tech savvy audience, you can reach them through search. It's highly effective.
Okay, great. I think those were the only questions that we had for now. But thank you so much, Brock, and the team at Natural Intelligence. As I mentioned before, we will be sharing this recording as well as the presentation slides today. So keep a lookout for an email from me. And I guess we'll give you 30 minutes back in your day. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.